Yes. Stuart, can you talk about why we focus on the navel chakra and not on some other chakra like the heart?
Well, look, I talk about this all the time, Ben, and it's a very important subject and uh, something that I learned directly from Rudy. We need to build a foundation inside us before we can truly highly develop the other chakras. We need to have the strength inside to keep the heart chakra open. The core of our being is the foundation. The third chakra, right below the navel, is the foundation within a human being. And the mind is, the strongest instrument we have. And when we focus our mind in that chakra, two things happen. The first thing is the mind acts like a surgical instrument that opens the chakra. It gets us to the real strength that exists inside us. The Japanese, the Chinese call it chi, that power that exists within a human being. And without that kind of power, the heart will never stay open. The mind will never stay quiet. The throat chakra is not going to work correctly. It is the source of energy, the source of power inside a human being, the foundation that makes it possible for us to build the rest of the chakra system and connect ourselves with higher energy in the universe. If you just focus on the heart, you know, uh, it's like a flower. It needs a stem and it needs roots. There's no stem and there's no roots. If there's no foundation, you understand the flower is you can't survive. And it's that way with the heart chakra. It also needs a stem and it needs roots to stay open. It needs to be nurtured by, that chi, that power inside us that really enables us to be strong enough to open the rest of the chakra system. The mind needs to be quiet. And if you train yourself to keep your mind focused in the navel chakra, you understand suddenly the mind gets quiet. If you meditate on the third eye, you're going to just space yourself out. So it's really essential, Nature teaches us all the time. Everything in nature is rooted. Everything in nature has foundation. It's only people that walk around thinking all the time and emotional all the time and keep themselves from ever being grounded inside. So it's the key. It's the key to truly developing the chakra system. And in the last month or two, I've been talking about these three. Isabel, please sit up. And if you're moving, it disrupts the class. Thank you. I've been talking about these three elements of inner work. And the first one is karma. You understand life. Activity in life is the first element. And, in order to deal with karma, we need to be very strong inside. In order to be able to detach ourselves from the craziness in the world and all this political madness and economic madness and all the pressures of life, and to be able to deal with those pressures from a harmonious place within ourselves, we need to be grounded. You talk to great singers and ask them what is the source of the energy from where they sing from. It's the chakra below the navel, it's the core. You talk to dancers, it's the same thing. It's the core. When great athletes are in that zone, they call it the zone. You understand? They're basically centered for that period of time right below the navel. That is the center of balance. And that really makes it possible for us to be connected with a spiritual force that allows our life to be creative. The second element is spirit. Spirit is not some kind of hors d'oeuvre, it's not some weak little energy, this kind of superficial sweetness that people walk around with. Spirit is very powerful energy. It's infinite energy in the universe. And as I say all the time, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna reveals himself to Arjuna, it's as if the light of 1,000 suns suddenly appeared in the sky. It's all of life, all of death. It's all of incarnation. It's eternity manifesting. This energy is very powerful. And if we're not centered and grounded and do the work of building our chakra system that way inside, that energy will just burn us up. Third element is Kundalini, and Kundalini is a really powerful force. It's also the pathway to enlightenment. And it once again, if we're not grounded inside, if the core of our being isn't open and really strong inside, Kundalini energy can just burn people up. I mean, sanitariums are full of people that have had Kundalini experiences and didn't have the capacity inside themselves to deal with it. So all of the chakras, need rooting. The rooting is the chakra right below the navel. All of the martial arts, that's what they're taught, how to develop chi. And in a sense, this meditation is like a martial art, but it's not fighting somebody in a ring or going to war. It's really us dealing with the intensity of life and being able to transform it into an open heart. We need to be grounded. We need to learn how to transform suffering into an open heart. And you can't do that if you don't have the inner strength. And just focusing on the heart chakra is not going to provide that kind of inner strength. It becomes like an accordion. It opens, it closes, it opens. Something good happens. We're full of love and joy. And suddenly something bad happens and the whole opposite energy takes place. But life it's a continuum of positive and negative. And if we're not grounded inside, we get elated when it's positive and we get depressed when it's negative. And it's like an elevator going up and down and up and down. And it drives people crazy instead of being, capable of living in an open state, no matter what the hell is going on in the world. Having that kind of inner strength, that inner strength comes from the chakra below the navel. It doesn't come from the mind, because the mind is an endless conflict. It's just a polarized energy that creates massive tension inside people. It's not from the emotions, because emotions are like a swampland. Understand? So we need to build the system that transforms that swampland into love. Transforms the mind into knowledge, real knowledge, that stems from the source of creative energy in the universe. All of that is what this meditation is about, building that kind of an inner life. And the chakra below the navel it's really the key to this. It's the first thing that Rudy ever taught me, really, when I was learning the meditation, bring the focal point of your attention to the chakra below the navel. It's the first thing he ever taught me. And he used to talk about it ad infinitum, how essential it is to build the core, strengthen the core, because that makes everything else possible. So we have mind, we have breath, we have will, we have need. Put these elements together, they are to be used to strengthening the core so that gratitude can open the heart. So all we need is gratitude. And the heart will stay open because it has roots, it has foundation. The mind will stay quiet because it has roots, foundation. and we receive knowledge, we receive wisdom. We're able to transform all our suffering into love and joy. Human beings can do this for themselves. They just have to learn how to do it. And it takes time and it takes a great deal of work. But the first thing you recognize is the only person in the world you're up against is yourself. That's the first person we have to deal with, ourselves. Not the politics of the world and not the economics and all the sexual things and all the, the intensity and tension that goes on in the world. Ourselves. We have to master the chaos inside ourselves. And the exercise is built around mastering internal chaos. And I know a lot of people teach meditation, and it has to do with focusing on the heart chakra, focusing on the third eye, listen to your breathing. And, if it works for people, fine. But I tried that when I was younger. It never worked for me. When I began to learn about the third chakra, it started working for me and how to develop that and how to build that inside myself. And the ultimate goal, Ben, is to open the heart chakra. That's the ultimate goal. God is love. But we have to have a system that's strong enough to do it. You know, that's the ultimate goal, opening the heart.
Thank you, Stuart. That was great.
You're welcome. Great question. But I talk about this all the time because it has to be repeated all the time for people to finally learn it. It's really the essence of what I learned from Rudy, transforming the chaos in myself into an open heart and learning how to do it, not just talking about it, but mastering the chaos, learning how to transform it into love, joy, happiness. As I say all the time, happy people are enlightened people. But to sustain happiness, you really have to be strong inside. You have to have a highly developed chakra system. And meditation, the purpose of the meditation we practice is exactly what I'm talking about. This is not a religion, it's not a cult, it's nothing of that nature. It's simply a way of learning how to work on yourself inside. It's a craft. And if you want to master a craft, be it a carpenter, a lawyer, a musician, a singer, a dancer, you've got to learn how to do it. You don't just do it. It takes time to learn how to do it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, 30 years ago, I was not talking like this. I mean, this kind of energy that is flowing through now is a product of so many years of working on myself. It really is. That's all it is. Years of doing it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, can you talk about the progress not being linear and how you go
Not
one
being
step
what? Not being,
linear. You go one step forward and two steps back in the
no, you go two steps forward and one step back.
okay. Yeah, it's better.
And we dwell on the one step back more than the one step forward. You go 2 steps, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Why make yourself crazy because you took a step back when you're really 2 steps forward? So you have to open your heart and you have to find, the fact, gratitude that you have grown in your life, you have changed in your life. And everybody suffers from that, Marcia, everybody. I suffer from that. I take 5 steps forward and 2 steps back. I learned a long time ago never to pay attention to the 2 steps back. Be grateful for what has happened, the growth that takes place in my life, and build on that. And not make myself crazy because I made a few mistakes. So don't worry about it, dear. You've gone 50 steps forward and maybe 12 steps back. Okay, I know you a long time now, and I remember when you first came into my life, I said, "Oh my God, this is going to be a real job." And look how much you've grown, you've flowered. It's wonderful, Melissa. And you've got to look at yourself and see yourself that way. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. We all do, But so what? Learn from them and grow because of them.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome, dear. Thank you for how much you've grown in your life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question. You spoke about emotions very briefly in the question about bringing your energy down below the navel. Can you speak a little bit more about that, the swamp, as I think you said, of emotions?
Do I have to speak about it? I mean, you know what you have, dear. We all have a swampland of emotions. We all get stuck in anger and fear and insecurity, jealousy. It takes over our lives, those things. And we need to build the strength inside that's strong enough not to allow that to happen, to be able to transform anger, fear, insecurity, jealousy, emotional things into an open heart. And we've all been through it. I mean, look, I can't be the only one here who's been through that. I mean, I've been through it, jealousy, emotions, and I had to learn how to simplify my inner life. And I had to learn how to build the core of my being so that I began to transform, anger and fear and insecurity and jealousy, et cetera, into an open heart. You get strong enough to do it. We all have it. And the fact is that most people haven't the capacity to do this, what I'm talking about, because they don't have the training inside to be able to do what I'm talking about. So that kind of energy is, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody here who hasn't experienced that, we all have. It's like a swampland. And yet, it's the key to enlightenment. Because learning how to transform all that into an open heart, into love, into being a happy person is the key to spiritual enlightenment. And a much better way to live than being jealous of everybody, being angry at everybody, getting revenge. There's madness that goes on in the world that does nothing but hurt and harm people and kill people. And it's, and it's all from a lack of training where people don't know how to develop an inner life that's strong enough to transform their suffering into an open heart. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Okay, so thank you all, and God bless you all for being here. I tell you, your presence here really makes me grow. I have no choice in the matter. And I just have infinite gratitude to all of you for attending these classes and working on yourself. And it's a miracle to be able to do this, you know. So bless you all. There'll be a class, well, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you know, where people from Europe and the Middle East come. And there'll be another class like this on Wednesday evening at 7:30. God bless you. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank
Stuart.
you.
Sure.
You.